Look guys, Matt Lemke here with Your Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com. And today we're going to talk about making some X-Wing asteroids that are tournament legal and cool. So, the things you're going to need for this project are, well, whatever you're going to make your asteroids out of. I like cork a lot, but cork's not always easy to find. This is actually stuff that's been on my basement wall since I don't know how long, and I've been taking it off as I slowly remodel. It has a multitude of terrain purposes. Magnetic tape. You can get away with just using magnetic tape. I had a hardware store locally that was getting rid of some sheet magnet stuff that that was like part of a display. So I asked if I could repurpose it, and they said go ahead and take it. You can also use sponge. It's a very popular technique. It's the thing I don't like about sponge is it's often spongy, but this is sponge, and you can see it's a lot firmer than this. I can tell you how I did that today. I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. And this is cork. It looks a little bit more rocky to me. This has just got a couple layers of spray paint on it so far. The problem with cork though is it is a little fragile, so you got to be careful when you brush it and stuff. You can dip it when you're done in like a lacquer or a varnish and it gets much more rigid. A skewer maybe. The nice thing about skewers is you can get different heights for your asteroids and terrain. Matchsticks like this one, this is actually part of that skewer cut off. So you get your matchstick here. I have a 28mm bases is what I'm using today. They don't need to be that great. I have already cut magnetic tape. The problem with magnetic tape is it's in a roll, right? So that's a little bit of a drawback, I think. So because it's in a roll, you're going to have to work it a little bit more to get it to the point where it's not, beveling out and folding back out and curling. You want that to be adhered as best you can. So I might have to take them off when I'm done with this demo and re-glue them. I'll let you guys know in the comments. You need asteroids. The cool thing about the asteroids is if you use the asteroids and you glue the sheet magnet on the back, you can, let's see, where's a bad one? So I glued these already. You can see that it overlaps, but there's an easy fix for that. And then when you're playing with the cool terrain, you put the asteroid face down and you put your cool terrain on top of it. This one thing I have noticed is there's resistance there and it wants to pick it up, so it's enough to hold the asteroid in place, but it's not enough to pick up like the whole sheet. Like I can almost, here, maybe it wasn't on the magnet. See, I can almost pick it up and move it around if it's off the other magnet. But it's just, you just want enough resistance there to hold it. Now you can use a slightly bigger base if you want, especially for the bigger pieces. But on the smaller asteroids, there's no issues at all. So it's all about what you want, how much coverage you want. I just want to make sure that if we're playing in a tournament and we're using cool stuff, I can put my finger down, I can remove it, and check things. That's all I want. There's a lot of different ways to do the bases. This is just the tape. See how it's kind of curled? Well, let's zoom in a little bit. It's kind of curled there a little bit. So bending it a little bit more, maybe putting some super glue on. I used super glue on all my asteroids today that I glued, and I'm going to use the ones when I do it in the demo. I'm going to use super glue as well. But normally I would probably use hot glue for this task. My acrylic isn't setting to the base. I'm not happy about that. If I used hot glue, it might have been done already. A pair of nippers, if I didn't say that already. A utility knife or a box cutter, as it may be called in other parts of the country. So the first thing you do is you take your asteroid template and you outline it in some fashion. I didn't bring a marker over. You outline it in some fashion and you cut it out to get the close shape. The next thing you do, I'm going to get rid of this magnet, is in this instance, it just so happens to work out that the white side is the side that I want to glue to the asteroid. So I smear some glue on here. It's super glue. You probably don't need that much, but I'm staying to the middle. And I'm going to pull it as close to one edge as I possibly can. That's set pretty good already, sadly. I can't really shift it around. But if I tried to cut this off, I probably couldn't do that right now. So then you're left with an edge like this. And what I do is I take my box cutter carefully and I just shave off the little piece of magnets until I'm hitting super glue there, until I have it where I want it. Now take very small strokes doing this. If you aren't careful, and I'm actually angling the bottom a little bit because I don't want to cut the cardboard of the asteroid token. Now I suppose you could buy some of those acrylic asteroids that are out there and glue the magnets onto the acrylic. That'd be a bit overkill, I think. But this allows you to set up cool tables or cooler tables. And like I said, just take your time. Don't get cut. If it's too much of an angle on one side or you feel your thumb's in the way, go ahead and flip it over. You still have the guide of the cardboard. Just go real slow until you're done. Okay, so for our demo, that's done enough because I have a nice piece here. And then the next step is, well, to go, now that's not really good enough. So basically the next step is to take a piece of sponge or whatever that you're going to use so that it fits basically on top of your terrain template, close shape. And then you're going to have that there. You're going to flip this back over. Then you can mess with this a little bit more if you want. On the small one, I'm just going to kind of leave it solid to give you the idea. It's roughly the same shape and size, a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and take a. Oops, I broke it. Don't break your magnet like I did. I'm going to rub it on there a little bit. And I think, well, no. Now what I should do is check this real quick. So that extra surface area gives you a lot more strength if you want to leave it square, or just use maybe use a square base for the bigger ones. I got plenty of those, and actually I may bust one out. Now you might be like, oh my gosh, that's ugly. Well, that is a little ugly, and there's a lot of ways to fix that. So you can do the same thing with your knife on the bottom of the base. Don't cut yourself. Take off any ugly edges you want to take off. Alright, so there's a few different ways you can do things here. You can do a skewer, which on the little asteroid I don't think I'm going to do. I'm going to go with a matchstick. And I'm going to use some super glue. And I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Get a little bit straighter. The nice thing about doing this too with a magnet is I can have it offset a little bit. I can cut it on an angle. I can do a lot of different things. If I really wanted to make this a tight fit so it doesn't fall over, I could cut 2 of these matchsticks in there, and then put this one in there like it's a formed fit. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. Now, real quick, take some of this cork. Now this is a little bit harder to do and this takes more time. So you can take your cork, like that's a little bit rough there. Take your knife, break a little bit of that off, break some off on the bottom. It doesn't really fit, so you break off some more pieces here. Until you have a shape that you kind of like. And then you glue it together. And what I actually did is I dipped it in 50-50 white glue to get this shape. And I actually want that up a little bit, so I'm going to move it around until I'm happy with it. I mean, it's an asteroid. It's a rock floating in space. So let's grab this piece here real quick and see what happens. It's not yet dry. I'm going to have to put this guy on a slightly bigger base, I think. Well, maybe not. But now I have an asteroid that, as long as my glue dries, won't fall over. I do have a curving magnet on the bottom that I'm going to have to re-glue on this one, or recut even. That makes all the difference in the world. Now, I want to add more color to this, a little bit of red, maybe some brown. We'll get to that in a second. Actually, I'm going to take that back off to paint it. And same thing with the sponge. So if the sponge is, the sponge was on, I think, a rock about this size. The sponge, now, like I said before, the sponges are a little soft. The way I firmed this up is I soaked this also in a 50-50 glue / water mix. And then I hung it to let it dry on a piece of copper wire through it. You can use zip ties, whatever. And I let it dry. Now it takes time to do that. And then I painted it, and the paint really firmed it up quite a bit. Same thing with this. I actually dipped this piece of cork 4 times. So this is actually probably about a 2-week project for me to do it that way. But I like the end result of these a lot better. Now there's another trick that you can do that's out there. If you have access to rare earth magnets that are broken, you can just kind of pile them together and then glue them. It works. I don't have any to show you. I did it for a friend. So now we need a little bit of paint. I'm going to get some acrylic here. This is just raw sienna and some burnt sienna. And I need something to put it on. That's not a magnet. We'll use this piece of cardboard. And basically you just, whoa, man, this stuff really wants to come out of there. You just slap it on where you want some color. That's all there is to it. You can use any size brush you want. I've got this brush here, so I'm going to do this. Mix these 2 colors together a little bit first. Now I'm just going to kind of hit them a little bit to give it a little bit more color. Maybe some more of this reddish color deeper down in. There's no rule to the color of an asteroid that I know of. And this is basically just kind of a dry brush. Bam! Now I have an asteroid with some more color. There. And here I can do the same thing. Now, okay, so what did I base coated them black. And then, before it was even dry, it wasn't even probably 30, as long as it took me to shake the next paint can, then I took a hammered steel or hammered metal, and I hit it real quick. And then I took Army Painter's Necrotic Flesh, and I hit it. And that's why you kind of get that little greenish look there on, I'll put it there, it's easier to see, on this asteroid from the cork. But you see it's lighter, probably because of the earth tones from the brown, the natural color of the cork. And I'm going to do some lighter stuff here. And I'm kind of hitting it all over. I'm going to have this brown side probably to the bottom. But that's really it, man. It's pretty much a done deal as soon as I glue it on a base. Or try and put it on a base. Is that dry? Oh. Of course it's not dry. Oh, it's dry. So let me move this out of the way real quick. I am going to use this to puncture my sponge. The sponge is still really soft. You can shove this in as far as you want, really. It's having a hard time getting through. There we go. Ta-da! Bam. Oops. It's not quite dry. That's a little bit of a problem. Joy, joy. So, where is my other matchsticks? Here we go. I think I just cut my finger. Thank God for super glue being on my finger. I'll probably need that piece that just shot across there. I'll use this piece. That's ugly. It might be. But there's a fix for that. That I'm going to show you here in a second. So when you're done, you will have a set of magnetic bases. If the super glue ever dries, I'll be okay. He's on a base that's too big, and as you can see, he's starting to fall a little bit because the super glue's not dry. But it's a pretty cool technique. Here's the, let's see, where's the hole in the sponge? I will really quickly get another one. Yeah, I'm gonna use this. I'll use this base. I don't have the ability to do hot glue over here, but I'll go ahead and I'll hot glue one. I'll go off camera real quick. So I went ahead and plugged in the hot glue gun anyway. then, ha, I didn't do it. Should have done that part first. I'm going to go ahead and glue one of the magnets on the bottom. I'm going to add hot glue to it because I think that's going to be a better sticking mechanism than their little tape. So I'm going to put hot glue on the bottom of the base. Don't mind the little wispy thingies. They're kind of cool. And actually I have another idea for those. Haha. When I get that far. Come on. And voila. So while that dries, I'll bring this guy back out here. The square holds it much better. And then you can find your little hole, which in this case is, take it off, put it on there, and we have an asteroid. I'm going to turn my glue gun off real quick. We have an asteroid. The same principle can be applied to the glue didn't dry yet on the bottom. But on the bottom of the base, which you can't see from that angle, you can see from that angle. Bottom of the base, it's empty. You can fill it with all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of different techniques too you can do to the asteroids. Like you can make them look like they have ice. You can put some wax in them. Some glue with white paint. You can put some of these little stringy things on there for extra whatever. I turned mine off. But anyway, that is magnetic based asteroids. Cool terrain for X-Wing. You can leave them so you can just pop these in and out if you want for easier storage, or you can lay them in their own little box, however you want to do it. I am definitely a fan of switching these to a square. That's probably a 28 millimeter or a 30 millimeter base. Probably be easier to cut too with scissors. So live and learn. I like the necrotic flesh on this. It kind of brings out the grayish hammery metal color. You get the reddish and the brown from the siennas and the yellow, and it makes it look like iron. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.